Hi, my name is Rachel Norgaard, and I am going to present about brainstorming as a quality tool. Maybe you're thinking, oh gosh, I already know about brainstorming, but you might be surprised because it has a lot of different definitions and different ways it can be used. So have an open mind and maybe you can learn something. Here's what we'll cover during this presentation. First, I'm going to define brainstorming, show when and where it's used, and how it relates to quality management, show some different types of brainstorming, as well as advantages and disadvantages, offer up some tips for effective brainstorming, some alternatives and complementary tools, how to brainstorm, some examples, and then I'll conclude it at the end and provide references. When you think of the word brainstorming, many things come to mind. In fact, it's a storm in your brain. But I have a couple definitions to offer you here. It's a general data gathering and creativity technique that elicits input from groups such as team members or subject matter experts. Another definition is the multiple thinking that includes the breaking up of old ideas, making new connections, enlarging the limits of knowledge, and the onset of wonderful ideas. Brainstorming is used to identify a list of ideas in a very short period of time. It's conducted in a group environment and led by a facilitator. It includes two parts, idea generation and analysis. But just so you know, those were just a couple definitions of brainstorming. There are so many definitions of brainstorming, and that's one of the problems that I'll be sharing later. So here's when you can use brainstorming and where it has been used. It can be used to generate various ideas, to help people think of new and innovative ideas, or maybe you're stuck in a rut and you really need a breakthrough, so you could use it for that. It's used to gather information in one place from various people, and also to capitalize on group synergy, and also to help the team to be more cohesive. Here's where brainstorming is actually used. It's used in various industries globally, including educational, commercial, industrial, and political, and creative and marketing industries as well. So here is where brainstorming fits within quality management. Brainstorming is used to gather data, develop the project charter and the project management plan, generate and collect multiple ideas related to project and product requirements, plan quality management, identify risks, identify stakeholders and project stakeholder management, and to solve problems. What I find interesting is it is primarily, in this case, a data gathering tool, which is used in 8.1, Plan Quality Management, 8.2, Manage Quality, and 8.3, Control Quality. Here are types of brainstorming from Reich.com. The first one is brain writing. Now this one separates the idea generation from discussion. The facilitator shares a topic, members write down ideas individually, and it's great for teams with various personalities because some will be more prone to share in a group and others not so much. And this can also reduce groupthink because people are sharing their ideas individually. Number 2 is figure storming. The idea of this is to put yourself in someone else's shoes and think about how would that person handle the situation. It helps your team to get out of a rut because you're not thinking as you normally would, you're thinking as somebody else would. An example is, well, what would Abraham Lincoln do? Well, I don't know, but probably something very honest. Number 3 is online brainstorming or brain netting. It's used by virtual teams across many industries. So since we're in a global pandemic right now, many of you are working from home, and this could be a great tool to use. It uses a central hub for idea gathering and collaboration, so some kind of collaboration software. There also are brainstorming tools available such as mind mapping tools. Number 4 is rapid ideation, and the point of this is to get the ideas out there quickly without overthinking. First, the facilitator provides context. There's a time limit for writing down ideas, so it won't go over time. There's no filtering of ideas, and people can use various mediums to record the ideas, and this tool really helps keep the team on task. Number 5 is round-robin brainstorming. As you would expect, the team forms a circle, Then the topic is shared and each person shares an idea. All of those ideas are recorded, and it's not a time to evaluate any of the ideas, just to share them. This is great for those who would otherwise be timid, but something to keep in mind is that each idea needs to be treated with equal weight. Number 6 is starbursting, and even though I included a photo of the candy, it really has nothing to do with it. I just wanted to whet your appetite. This one focuses on generating questions, not answers. Some examples of those questions are who, what, where, when, why, and how. Those typical questions. You could ask more probing questions as well. You really don't want to ask questions that have yes and no answers because you're really trying to glean insights for quality management. This one ensures that important project aspects are not overlooked. Number 7 is the stepladder technique. The facilitator shares the topic or question. Then everybody leaves the room except for 2 team members. Those 2 team members discuss the topic and share their ideas. Then a new person is added into the room and that person shares the ideas first as the 3 continue the discussion. This is continued in a cycle, one person being added to the group at a time until the entire group is included in the discussion. And something that this tool does is help to reduce groupthink. Now, I know every tool has its advantages and disadvantages, and honestly, going into research for this tool, I thought it was mostly going to be disadvantages, but it does have some great advantages as well. It is a quick and efficient way to get diverse ideas and perspectives. The idea is that there's no judgment or criticism, and that helps to spur innovation. It's sometimes those crazy ideas that end up being the best ones. I mean, sometimes they're a flop as well, but hopefully they're the best ones. It stimulates the creative thinking process. It considers all group members' ideas. It helps identify customers to make sure that they are included in the research. It identifies various potential causes that should be explored further, and it identifies ideas for solutions. But of course, there are disadvantages. People think they're brainstorming, but they're actually having a discussion. And that's because there's so many different definitions of brainstorming, and that causes a lot of confusion. There's lack of brainstorming knowledge and training, so people don't know how to facilitate a brainstorming session. Some research says it produces fewer and poorer quality ideas compared to the same number of individuals working alone. It can be unproductive if people go off in tangents and there's not enough follow-through. So maybe there's really no real action plan to actually implement what was discussed in the sessions. Another category is responses. Maybe there's too many responses. Maybe some members are being very dominating. Maybe it's kind of just crickets and nobody's responding. Or maybe the ideas really aren't diverse enough because people want to get along. So that is how groupthink happens. As I mentioned, sometimes there's just no action or follow-through. It can cause some group conflict, and sometimes entire segments are missed. Maybe certain categories or certain very important aspects are completely overlooked. Here is how to brainstorm effectively. Please do pursue quantity in early rounds. You want to get a lot of ideas out there. Let people finish their thoughts. Do not interrupt them. Build off of each other's ideas and capitalize on that synergy that's happening in the group. And please be brief. You don't want this to be an agonizing session. Categorize and organize after the brainstorming session has occurred. Here are some don'ts. Do not criticize ideas. That's going to make people not want to share later on. Do not judge people and ideas. Again, they'll be less prone to share later on. Don't reword an idea when you're transcribing because you're putting words into someone's mouth, literally. And please do not allow any one person to dominate the session. I wanted to offer some alternative and complementary tools because brainstorming really isn't the be-all, end-all tool. It's really used effectively with other tools. And you really need to look at your own situation and see how you can use this to your advantage and really tailor it. One possibility is the nominal group technique. This develops a team consensus on priority rankings without any influence or bias. Another option is multi-voting, which narrows down and prioritizes brainstorming ideas. Affinity diagrams is another option, and that one organizes and summarizes unstructured ideas and issues. Of course, there are other tools that you can use as needed, and what brainstorming is good at doing is gathering a lot of ideas in a short amount of time, and so it can be very effective used with other tools. Here is how to brainstorm step by step. This is to show how to brainstorm with a structured approach. Number one is meet. Your team needs to meet in a space that is comfortable, the room is prepared, it has privacy, no distractions, and you need to have a scribe ready to take notes and to scribe. Number two is identify the issue. Define what that issue is, or that gap, the quality gap that needs to be addressed. It needs to be filled with your quality plan, and this is the idea gathering that's going to happen. Make sure that your scribe writes down the issue. Number three is a round robin type of way of presenting ideas. And the scribe writes down each idea, but at this point, it's not a time to discuss yet. Number four, just know that the person may pass their turn, but that doesn't mean that they can't or won't participate in future rounds. So if they really don't have a good idea to share or any idea to share, they can jump right back in on another round. Number five is every person goes around and shares the idea, but when people are passing consecutively, or you can tell that the creative juices are running dry, that's when it stops and it has finished. It's a time to review your ideas and make sure to remove any duplicates. Number six is tidy up that list. So the idea here is that list gets tidied up and you're prone to actually use that information and be able to find it. Now I'm going to use my own Acme project as an example, and mine is, the deliverable is employee engagement. The work package is training. The goal for this training is to implement the training that gathers diverse and innovative ideas with employee buy-in and ownership, because that will spur on the employee engagement. The first thing, as I had described in the process, is to meet to prepare a room. I'm going to gather the relevant stakeholders, make sure that we have reserved a comfortable room that doesn't have distractions, and we have the proper tools ready for scribing, such as a whiteboard. The next step is identify the issue. Our issues are the employee turnover is high, employees don't feel appreciated, Acme definitely does want to hire within and needs to fill skill gaps, employees want to increase their skills and to contribute, earn more, and be more marketable. Number three, present ideas. Each stakeholder present will offer an idea. A few ideas would be create a challenge with prizes for high scores when completing web-based training courses. Another idea could be swap a skill. Those with skills or knowledge in an area can teach others something that they want or need to learn. Number four, no ideas? No problem. So if you don't have idea for this round, that person can just jump right in with another round. Number five is you finish sharing. So my team is going to review all those ideas, clarify any points, and as I had mentioned about duplicates, just remove those actual duplicates. Number six is tidy up the list. So my team is going to make sure the list is legible and organized, and so it's easier to pick up where we started. Then I'm going to make sure that list is prepped and sent out to the stakeholders, or maybe even added to a collaboration software as a post. Here's a personal example. I train and support my team in video production, and every week we have a video production roundtable discussion. The question is it a discussion or brainstorming? And at this point, I'm not really sure exactly what it is, but I know it's been really helpful to get a lot of great ideas out there. We have small virtual groups. It includes 3 of us as the core group and a special guest speaker each week. We wanted to keep the groups nice and small so that we could really get the input of that 4th person especially. It's not structured, so we don't have an agenda, which makes people feel a little strange not to have an agenda for a meeting. But it's been really great to get a lot of ideas out there and really elaborate on each other's ideas through synergy. Each time we have a different person taking notes, and we compile them in one spot. However, I do find it a little difficult to really have action on these items and figure out how to implement the action. That being said, my research on the alternative tools I found very helpful as ways that we can categorize that information that we've gleaned in our brainstorming sessions and actually find a way to move forward with them. My conclusion about brainstorming is, yes, it is a widely used and versatile tool. It definitely has a place. It's a quick way to get a lot of diverse ideas in one place, and it's great at spurring on creativity, innovation, and synergy. But it does have some issues with it, which one of the reasons could be that it just needs to be defined more clearly and how it's going to be used and how it's going to be facilitated. And it works very well with other quality tools. Thank you so much for watching this presentation, and I am really looking forward to your feedback and watching your presentations. And last but not least, here are my references.